Yes, good morning, friends. Today we are going to discuss about the basics of anatomy. So, actually, basics of anatomy should be finished off first, but unfortunately, we are not done. But let me complete this basics of anatomy. What are the terms? What are the positions we can identify and all? Okay, so the beginners try to see this video first, then after that you can go for other systems and all. Otherwise you cannot understand anything. So the basics of the anatomy. So this is a history of anatomy. It is written by the Galen, who wrote in a Greek. Vesalius, another scientist, he wrote in a Latin in the 19th century. 30,000 anatomical terms were in use in the books and as well as in the journals. So it is a Basil nomina anatomica. So they have decided to name each and every part shall have only one name, and each term should be in Latin, and each term should be as short and simple as possible. So what is all about? The terms shall be merely memory signs. Okay, the related terms shall be similar. Suppose if we take femoral artery, if the vein is present at that particular area, the vein name is femoral vein. If the nerve is supplying to that particular areas, femoral nerve and its branches, like that. Okay, so the adjectives shall be arranged as opposites. Okay, suppose if we take two muscles are present in one particular area, so that name should be like this: major and minor. Bigger one is there. Suppose if we take the muscle in the chest region, two muscles are present. Bigger one is major, pectoralis major. Smaller one is pectoralis minor. If the two muscles are present above and below in the same size, they are called as superior and the inferior. Okay, like that. Language of anatomy. So how to use the language? So there are various positions, planes, terms in relation to the various regions, and movements are described. Let me show you one by one. So first, anatomical position. So what is this anatomical position is, so a person or a patient which is standing on the ground, both his palms are facing forwards, and the face is looking forwards, and the eyes also it has to look forwards. So this position is called as anatomical position. Anatomical position. Then supine position. Supine position means a patient or a cadaver, a person which is lying on the floor or lying on the cot, looking upwards. Looking upwards. Try to see this image. This person is looking upwards. Okay, so entire this body is facing upwards. So such position is called as supine position. The next position is prone position. In this prone position, entire the body is facing down. Okay, face is also it has to look down. A person or a cadaver, cadaver means dead body. So anything which is lying on the cot or lying on the floor in the prone position means looking down. Entire the front portion of the body it has to project down. That is called as prone position. Another position is a lithotomic position. In this position, so both knees are flexed. Knees are flexed, and both the lower limbs they are away from each other. So away from each other. So in this position, we can identify during parturition of the baby, during delivery of the baby. Most of the times they keep the mother in this lithotomic position for the free passage of the baby from the mother to outside. That is called as lithotomic position. And also in the perineal surgeries, they keep the body, they keep the person's body in this lithotomy position. Okay, so supine, anatomical position, prone position, and lithotomic position. Then coming to the planes. Planes are median plane. It is an imaginary plane. Okay. So median plane or mid sagittal plane. We are drawing a median plane, imaginary plane. So by the help of it, we can identify two equal halves, right and left equal halves. So this is a median plane, imaginary plane. Okay, or mid sagittal plane. The next one is the frontal plane or coronal plane. So we are drawing it is perpendicular to the median plane. Okay, so median plane we have drawn like this. Excuse me. Median plane we have drawn in this way. Now this coronal plane is perpendicular. Okay, so by the help of this coronal plane, we can identify two halves, front half and the back half. We can also call as anterior half and the posterior half. I will explain you what is anterior and posterior as well. Okay, so then coming to the next plane is sagittal plane. Sagittal plane is a paramedian plane. Para means it is a outside, okay, surrounding or outside. So by the help of the sagittal plane, we can get two unequal halves. Then transverse plane, okay, transverse plane. By the help of this transverse plane, we can get upper half and the lower half. Okay, these are the different planes. Now coming to the terms we use in anatomy. This is very important. If you don't understand these terms, you cannot understand any medical subject at all. Okay, so try to concentrate more. Terms used related to the trunk and terms used related to the trunk. One is ventral. Okay, ventral or anterior. Understood? Ventral or anterior or front portion. Front portion is called as ventral or anterior. Okay, so dorsal means posterior. Dorsal means posterior. Okay, backside. So dorsal means posterior. Then median. So what we have drawn? Median plane. It is an imaginary plane we have drawn. So medial means whatever it may be the part which is projecting towards the midline, that it is called as medial. If it is projecting away from the midline, that is called as lateral. Okay, so whatever it may be the part, it may be a bone, either it may be any organ, anything which is projecting towards the median plane, that is called as medial. If it is projecting outside, that is called as lateral. Next one is proximal. Proximal means towards the head. Towards the head. So proximal it is also called as cranial or superior. Okay, proximal, cranial or superior. So towards the head, that is called as proximal. Distal means towards the ground. Distal, caudal or inferior. Okay, so in this upper limb we can identify the arm region which is present in the proximal part. Hand is present in the distal part. Understood now? Proximally we can identify the arm, distally we can identify the hand. Okay, so this is the entire the upper limb. Parts of the upper limb: arm, forearm and the hand. Okay, that is like that. Then coming to this superficial and deep. Now in this image we are seeing the skin over here, and then just beneath the skin you can identify some fat layer, that is called as superficial fascia. Superficial fascia. Underneath that we can identify the deep fascia. Okay, now you understood superficial means outside, deep means inside. Then coming to the laterality. So lateral means away from the midline. What we discussed about lateral, whatever it may be, the part which is projecting outside, away from the midline, that is called as lateral. So in this lateral, ipsilateral. Okay, ipsilateral means same sign. Okay, ipsilateral paralysis. Okay, if you got paralysis, sorry, if you see any paralytic patient which is paralyzed upper limb and the lower limb the same side, that is called as ipsilateral. Then contralateral means opposite side. Right limb, right upper limb, left lower limb, or left upper limb, right lower limb, that is called as contralateral. Then invagination and evagination. So here we are trying to see this part, it is going inside, that is called as invagination. If it is coming outside, that is called as evagination. Okay, so then coming to this terms used in relation to the upper limb. So in the upper limb, what are the structures we can identify? One is ventral or anterior. Okay, posterior it is also called as dorsal. Okay, then coming to this medial and the lateral borders. Medial and the lateral borders. Let me show you this medial border and the lateral border. This is medial border of the upper limb. This is lateral border of the upper limb. Okay, so this is the medial border and this is the lateral border. So in this upper limb, the parts of upper limb are arm, forearm, hand. So arm, forearm and the hand. Try to see my mouse indicator. This is arm, this is forearm and this is hand. So this arm is present between the two joints, above shoulder joint, below elbow joint. Then coming to this forearm, above elbow joint, below wrist joint. Then rest of the part is called as hand. Okay. Then coming to the proximal and distal. Proximal, which is present projecting towards the head, that is proximal. And here is distal. Proximal, distal. So here is an anterior view or front ventral aspect, and this is dorsal aspect or posterior view. Then coming to the palmar and dorsal aspect of the hand. So in the hand, we are having two aspects, two surfaces. We are seeing this anterior surface, it is also called as palmar surface. Posterior surface, it is called as dorsal surface. Dorsal surface. Then coming to the, excuse me, extensor and the flexor aspects of the upper limb. So the muscles of the upper limb, which are present anteriorly, following my point, ventrally, they are responsible for the flexion movement. That's why the compartment is called as flexor compartment. Posterior compartment muscles, they are responsible for extension of upper limb, extension of upper limb. That's why this posterior compartment is called as extensor compartment. Then terms used in related to the lower limb. So in the lower limb, we can identify. So this is the median plane. We are drawing another median plane. Okay. Then yes, here is a posterior part, and this is the anterior part. Then we can identify medial. This is a medial part, lateral part. So this part, which is it is projecting towards the median plane, right? This part is projecting towards the median plane. That's why this part is called as medial, and this part is called as lateral. So entire this part is called as anterior. So when you discuss about the muscles over here, you need to mention the word called as anteromedial. If the muscles projecting away from midline, anterolateral. Here also like that. Anteromedial, anterolateral. Okay. So in this anterior compartment, these muscles are responsible for extension, called as extensor muscles. Extensor muscles. Posterior compartment muscles. These muscles are responsible for flexion. Flexion. That's why this compartment, entire the posterior compartment of lower limb, called as flexor muscles. And this is, yeah, here is posterior compartment and this is anterior compartment. What is this? Proximal, and this is distal. Then coming to the movements. Movements are a gliding movement, very slight movement between the intervertebral, I mean between the two vertebrae. You can identify this movement called as gliding movement. Then the angular movements. Okay, so this head of the humerus, this is a bone of the arm. What is arm? Which is present between shoulder joint and the elbow joint. This is called as the bone of the arm, which is rotating. That movement is called as angular movement. Okay. Then here also you can identify the angular movement of the elbow joint. Right. So then coming to rotation. Rotation is medial rotation and lateral rotation. Let me show you this. So this woman is moving her upper limb from the elbow joint towards the midline. That is called as medial rotation. If she moves away from the midline, that is called as lateral rotation. Moving towards the midline, medial rotation. Moving outside the midline, lateral rotation. Pronation and supination. So here in this normal position, these muscles are present like this. Some muscles, they pull the radius, that is supinator and pronator teres muscle. This is the pronator teres. Name itself it is saying pronation. What is pronation? Projecting downwards towards the ground. So here the upper limb is projecting towards the ground. That's why it is called as pronation movement. And keeping it on the lying on the bed facing upwards, that position is called as supination. And these are the movements which we can identify in the upper limb: flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, circumduction, medial rotation. So let me show you one by one. Okay, first the flexion. Flexion, okay, flexing her elbow and keeping in the normal position, that is extension. Okay, then abduction, moving the upper limb away from the midline, that is called as abduction. Keeping near to each other, adduction. Okay, adduction. Then the circumduction. Circumduction, you try to remind the cricket. bowling movement. That is called as circular movement, rotation, circumduction. What these two guys are doing? These two guys are doing medial rotation, lateral rotation. Okay, both are doing medial rotation and lateral rotation, moving the limb towards the midline, medial rotation, away from the midline, lateral rotation. Okay, try to see her limbs, medial rotation, lateral rotation. Then coming to this, what are these movements? Excuse me. Supination and pronation. Try to see this movement. It is giving supine and pronation movement. Yes, here in the hand, keeping the fingers away from each other, that is called as abduction. Keeping near to each other, that is called as adduction. Then this is called as opposition, counting the digits. Opposition. Then circumduction, rotatory movement. Okay. Then coming to the lower limb, flexion, extension, flexion, extension, flexion of the knee, extension of the knee. Okay. Then here, try to see this girl, abduction and adduction. Abduction means keeping the limbs away from each other. That is abduction. Near to each other is called as adduction. Then medial rotation and lateral rotation. Try to see these images. He is moving the limb towards the midline, medial rotation. Moving away from the midline, lateral rotation. Is flexion and extension of the knee joint. Try to see here. So here it is flexing and here is extending. Flexion, extension. Yes, here another movements we can identify. Dorsiflexion and the plantar flexion. If you stand on your toes, that movement, that position is called as plantar flexion. Plantar flexion. If you stand on your heel, that is called as dorsiflexion. Okay, other movements of the foot are inversion, moving keeping the sole towards the midline, that is called as inversion, keeping the sole away from the midline, that is called as eversion, inversion, eversion, inversion, eversion. Okay, then coming to the neck region, flexion, extension. Okay, flexion means forward bending, extension means backward bending, lateral flexion means side to side movements, rotation means round movements. Then other movements here he is doing is protraction, retraction. Forward projection is called as protraction, keeping it normal, and retracting, pulling it back, that is called as a retraction. So in the trunk, flexion, lateral rotation. Yes, here you can see the flexion means flexion, lateral rotation, extension. Okay, flexion, lateral flexion, and extension. Coming to the terms used for describing the muscles. So when you see the muscles, we have seen when the muscular system, origin, insertion. So the bone, it has to arise from one particular bony part called as origin. It has to reach to the other bony part called as insertion part. So in the middle part, we can identify the big structure called as belly. Okay, muscle belly. So the terminal part, we can identify the tendon or aponeurosis or raphe. Okay, then coming to this muscle, so here you can see the insertion part. Understood? Then in the muscle, it is covering so many muscle bundles. The bundle is called as fasciculus, one fascicle. So in one muscle fascicle, we can identify different myofibrils, one muscle fiber. In that fiber, you can identify myofibrils. Okay, so this myofibril we cannot identify with the naked eye. We can identify one muscle fiber only. Okay, so we can identify the muscle bundles. You can identify if you're a non-vegetarian, you can see clearly, or if you dissect any human body, you can identify clearly the muscle bundle called as muscle fasciculus. That bundle, in that bundle, you can identify muscle fibers. In that fiber, you can identify myofibrils. Terms used for describing the vessels: arteries, veins, capillaries, and anastomosis. Arteries means they brings the oxygen blood to every part of the body. Okay, except these structures, pulmonary arteries, though the name is pulmonary artery, but they carry the carbon dioxide blood to the lungs. Umbilical artery, same way, they carry the carbon dioxide blood. Veins, they bring the carbon dioxide blood to the heart, to the heart. But pulmonary veins, They carry oxygen blood from the lungs to the heart. Capillaries means they are the junction between arteries and the veins. So the communication between arteries and the veins called as anastomosis. Anastomosis. Okay, here we are seeing the artery and its branches. Clear? Then here you can identify the veins and its tributaries. The small veins they are joining with each other and form the bigger veins. The terms used for describing the bone features. Bone features. So we can identify some elevations. So these elevations they are called as line, lip, crest, or ridge. Okay, line, lip, crest, or ridge. These are the words we use when you're describing the bone. Then coming to the sharp elevations, they are called as process. Here you can identify styloid process, pterygoid process, like that. Okay. Then rounded elevations or rounded or irregular elevations, they may be called as tubercle. You can identify tubercle, trochanter, tuberosity. Okay. Then malleolus. These are the words we use for rounded or irregular elevations. Yes, here depressions. The depressions on the bones, they are called as pit or fovea or fossa or the groove. Okay, any word we can identify, any word we can use. Okay, so if the depression is circular, that is called as fossa or fovea. If it is an elongated one, that is called as groove. Groove. If it is a small notch, okay, so like that we will describe the bones. Then openings they are called as foraminas. Openings are called as foraminas. In this structure we can identify a foramina on the shaft of the femur. This foramina is called as a nutrient foramina. Nutrient foramina. Large cavity within the bone is called as sinus. Let me show you that sinus. Yes, here you can see the sinus. Large cavity inside the bone called as sinus. Here also you can identify the sinus. Then smooth articular surfaces, so which they are involving in the formation of joint. There the bone surfaces are smooth. They are called as facets, condyles, head, capitulum, or trochlea. These are all the names of the smooth surfaces where they are involving in the formation of joint. Okay, that is about the anatomical terms. Thank you, one and all. If you have any doubts, please contact me. I will just add my number below in the description. Okay, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell icon so that you will get all the notifications whenever I upload any video. Thank you, friends.